Quiero darles la bienvenida en un doble nombre, en nombre de FEDEC y con el permiso del presidente, señor Pablo Mirraqui. Bienvenido en nombre de la comunidad beneficiada. Vamos a participar de la verdad que muy agradable encuentro y estamos, la verdad que muy felices de haber encontrado un eco tan importante en esta convocatoria primero para que compartamos una tefilá juntos y segundo para que podamos escuchar al doctor David Breakstone, que como ya dijeron, ustedes saben, es el vicepresidente de la Organización Sionista Mundial. Así que bueno, David.
Okay, first of all, I'm honored by your presence here. Ariel told me that he was bringing together heads of kehilot. I didn't have any idea that it would be so many. I probably wasn't listening to him. I don't need to wait for the translation, right? It's simultaneous?
Yes.
Okay. We just said that it's like a kiddush after tefillot. It feels already like it's Shabbos with so many people. It's really a wonderful opportunity for me to be able to be here and see so many of you at once. And for me also, seeing all of you here really is an indication that sometimes dreams can come true. I think I first met Wolfgang 10 or 12 years ago when FEDEC, it was more than a dream, but not a lot more than a dream back then. You were trying to bring all of the different kehilot in and seeing what's happened here over the years and that people are really, all of these kehilot are part of it and that you're working together is something not to be taken for granted and very much appreciated. So again, I thank you for the opportunity to be here and to meet with you this morning. I want to talk a little bit this morning about the Zionist challenge to our movement. I've been speaking a lot to different kinds of groups about Zionism and Israel, but I think there are also special concerns that we within the Masorti movement have. And in order to illustrate what I'm talking about, I'm going to introduce you to my family. Some of you may know that my wife is from Chile, but and it's an embarrassment that I don't speak Spanish. We're a very Zionist family. We only speak in
At least you drink Hebrew.
Yes. But I didn't have a chance this time. I was just in Santiago for 24 hours and no pisco sour. What can I do? But although some of you may know that she's from Chile, you probably don't know that she is a bigamist. Bigamist. Yes, you got it. Bigamist. Okay? Why is she a bigamist? This is our second marriage. I said she's from Chile. When she got divorced the first time, the only time, she's not getting divorced again. When she got divorced, getting a divorce in Chile wasn't so easy. And she had a get from the chief rabbinate in Israel, which somehow never got presented or recognized in Chile. So as far as they're concerned, she's still married to her first husband. Of course, we got married, and since they have to recognize international agreements and so on, they also recognize me as her husband. I don't know what would happen if it actually came to court, but in a certain way, as far as Chile is concerned, she's married twice. In Israel, she's not married at all, because she got the get from the chief rabbinate. We got married there by a conservative rabbi. Israel doesn't recognize the ceremonies conducted by conservative rabbis, and although we have a ketubah and married according to the halakha, we're not registered there as being married. In the United States, on the other hand, she's recognized as being my wife and only my wife. After we got married in a conservative ceremony in Israel, we went off to the United States, and we got married there actually by a minister of the Church of All Faiths. I'm not sure how you're going to translate that. We couldn't have another Jewish wedding because we already had a Jewish wedding. And it turns out that my sister who lives in Woodstock, New York, some 40 years ago, took out a mail order license that enables her, by the power vested in her by the state of New York, to perform weddings as a minister of the Church of All Faiths. There is no such thing as this Church of All Faiths, and she's not a minister. But there, the rules and laws about getting married are very liberal, unlike in Israel. So in order to have a marriage certificate issued by New York, we had a little reaffirmation ceremony after getting married in Israel, and she signed the papers. So in the States, we're married as a regular couple. In Germany, she's a single woman altogether. She's a child of Holocaust survivors, and when she took out a European Union passport a few years ago, somehow her first husband wasn't in the papers, her second husband wasn't in the papers. She got her passport, she's registered there as being a single woman. So my life is very interesting. I'm married in Chile to a bigamist. In Israel, she's a divorcee. In America, she's just a regular married woman. And in Europe, she's free. So I mention these things because on one hand, it shows the absurdity of the situation, but it also reflects on how complicated things are. But it doesn't end with my wife and myself. When the first of my daughters to get married 3 years ago, they didn't want all the complications I had. Little did they know what was waiting for them. So they went to the chief rabbinate, to the office there of the chief rabbinate, to register to get married. And it turns out they wanted to know, prove that you're Jewish. Every young woman who comes to the chief rabbinate office in Israel has to bring evidence of their being Jewish. So she brought the get from my first wife and myself. We didn't know that in the get, at the time that we got the get, that it was written specifically that this get is no indication that the couple was ever Jewish. Why? Because when we got married in the United States, we got married by a conservative rabbi. So as far as the chief rabbinate was concerned, they had no evidence that we were Jewish. And in fact, we were suspect because we got married by a conservative rabbi. So this was just a couple of months before the wedding, and they weren't prepared to give her a license. Finally, the community that my first wife came from, the rabbi there, had good relations with an Orthodox rabbi that was recognized by Israel, and they got the papers, and they finally issued the license. So we get to the evening of the wedding, and are you able to follow all of this? And it's complicated enough when you understand the language. So we get to the evening of the wedding, and they chose an Orthodox rabbi that I had never met to perform the wedding ceremony there. And I was given the privilege of bringing the two Edim for the wedding. Some of my best friends happened to be rabbis. I brought two conservative rabbis to be the Edim. They sit down to write the ketubah. I introduce them to the Orthodox rabbi who is to perform the ceremony, and he says, this is really embarrassing. I shouldn't be performing this wedding. But not for the reasons my heart dropped. I figured, okay, he doesn't like the fact that we brought two conservative rabbis to be the Edim, but in fact, he is a wonderful, very open-minded, pluralist rabbi. And he said, I shouldn't be performing this wedding because with two honorable rabbis like this here, they should actually be performing it. He said, quite frankly, I'm embarrassed that Israel today requires you to bring me in to make the wedding kosher when you have two respectable rabbis like that. So I mention that because sometimes with all the problems that we have, it's good to know that we also have some friends in the Orthodox world. Of course, if I revealed his name, they might revoke his license to perform weddings. But okay, so that was the first daughter. The second daughter who got married a year later, decided she didn't want an Orthodox wedding. She wanted a conservative wedding. And indeed, we had a conservative rabbi perform the wedding there. But again, in order to be recognized, they also went off and had my sister, the minister of the Church of All Faiths, perform their wedding there, and they brought that license back to Israel, and they're registered as married. But the story is not over. My wife's son, about 2 years ago, decided it was time, Yair, he decided it was time to propose to Nicole, a woman he'd been going out with for about 3.5 years, a wonderful woman who we love. And he got down on his knee, literally, he got down on his knee to propose to her. And Nicole said, Yair, there's something I have to tell you. I'm kind of like not Jewish. Okay? Yair was in shock. What does it turn out? Nicole is a child of those 300,000 immigrants from the former Soviet Union whose father is Jewish, whose mother is not Jewish. She came to Israel at the age of 8, was brought up, her mother is more Jewish in terms of her commitments to Israel, very, very Zionist family, completely appreciative of that Israel was able to take them in. She served in the army, she went to the regular schools, she celebrates the holidays as her other secular friends celebrate the holidays, but she was not prepared to commit to living an Orthodox lifestyle, which they are very strict about in Israel, and accordingly, they would not even consider her for conversion. So she was stuck for years in this limbo. Why? She never told Yair during those 3.5 years. That's their problem, not our problem. But the fact that she was in the situation that she was in, was indeed a problem for all of us. Yair came to me. We noticed he was walking around like something had happened. We didn't know what. He finally came to me. He told me the story. He said, what am I supposed to do? He couldn't, although he also is not particularly traditional, he couldn't conceive of not having a Jewish wedding because they could have gone off to Cyprus to get married. He can't conceive of not having Jewish children. And he was desperate. I said, Yair, this is wonderful. I need more soldiers to fight our battle. Come, we're going to take care of this together. We knocked on the door of the Masorti conservative movement in Israel, which of course is very, very welcoming in such circumstances. And for the next year, Nicole studied with a rabbi. In fact, Yair and Nicole studied together. Yair, having gone to a regular Israeli school, was lacking in a good Jewish education. And he went every single session together with Nicole to study with the rabbi for the full year, and it was a wonderful experience for them. It also, to me, only shows how sad it is that the Orthodox world is not welcoming of those who want to enter the gates of Judaism, because it really was a positive experience for them.